After I had finished the video on the antagonist of JoJo, I basically had room to do anything after. Since Joe Bros isn't exactly optimal, I might as well just go over each group separately, and I wanted my own choice on the groups. So this video was originally going to be on La Squadra because I love them so much, but I feel like that's something I should be saving for the future. So instead, I'll be talking about the 9 glory gods. The first glory god is going to be Ndul, so you know that I'm going to be going over this in order of appearance. I'm sure that I had mentioned this either in my Ndul video or my favorite stands video that Geb is one of my favorite stands in Stardust Crusaders, but why I mention that now is because as of recent, I've been on this huge focus of stands being the product of their user spirit. Now it's extremely obvious, but when looking into it and just putting like one-to-one comparisons and all the type of stuff, it's actually extremely interesting. Geb being like Ndul, flowing like water, which it literally is, and extremely deadly when it has the chance, or when he has the chance. The flowing like water being a way bigger point of focus for me because of how much I already like Ndul, but I'm also a huge Bruce Lee fan. And I mean, well, being real, who isn't in this world? Like, really? Ndul being such a calm character and his history, while not that large, was interesting to me. To live each day without fear, but also with no direction. To not have any fear is powerful, but for it to be not of any use, it's just unfortunate and it's real, so I love it. Also, do you realize how strong of a stand user you have to be to potentially take out the entire Stardust Crusaders? Okay, like legitimately, let's think about this. Kakyoin was out, Avdol couldn't fight, Joseph couldn't fight, Polnareff for sure had no type of chance with that type of range. I mean, well, literally none of them did. And if we're being real, if we wanted to legitimately end part 3 right there, they all could have been ended there altogether. There is legitimately no stand user that we had on the Stardust Crusaders by themselves that could take on Ndul, and we saw that with that type of range, at least, like one-on-one, obviously we can try to figure something out, but with that ridiculous amount of range, Ndul literally had a chance to go completely undisputed. But you know, we have to, it's the Stardust Crusaders, we have to keep on going with the plot and all that. So putting Jotaro and Iggy together, it's just like, oh, okay, that makes the most sense, so let's go ahead and do that. But that is some ridiculous power to do that, and I will always love Ndul for that, so I'll give him credit. And also, if you want to hear something else, I just, like, again, I had an Ndul video, so that's where I talked about him in depth. The next 2 gods are Oingo and Boingo. I can't put gods and Oingo and Boingo at the same, like, what type of name? All right, I don't have anything on Oingo aside from I like what he did because it was funny. On Boingo, I think I was just more interested on the fact that he was such a young stand user in the world that he's in, and his stand is pretty cool. I also like that so many people tried connecting points with the predictions that he'd made to see if they were telling the truth, or no, telling the future of the parts ahead of us, like that was a thing to be seen. I also like when, just like that basically what connects over to that, I like when characters or stands give people something to talk about or something around like that, so that's a reason why I can honestly just say more on Boingo instead of Oingo. And though I will say that the outro that they had made for them was great, I really do like that, and I like how they were their own NC aside from JoJo because of how they function. I'm not sure that also like many would share my opinion on it, but honestly, I would pay for a one-shot or series to see the misadventures of Oingo and Boingo, or well, I guess if we do it now, it would be only Boingo because Oingo's like, you know, retired. And also, I guess, no, there's a lot of stuff that I honestly pay for. A lot of one-shots that I'd love to see with Araki, but, you know, Rohan. The next character, or well, stand, is going to be Anubis. The concept of Anubis was so cool to me, and I was interested in the idea of it, but I focused a lot more on what introducing Anubis did. There is really no real reason for any of the Stardust Crusaders to start duking it out with each other, because they're reasonably mature and competent enough to not do something like that, unlike, you know, like Joseph and Caesar. But with the introduction of Anubis, we had finally have access to basically Polnareff versus the Stardust Crusaders, like any of them. And I'd love to see Araki's JoJonium excerpt on Anubis when it does come out, and would like to see if there was a huge backing from the fans for Jotaro versus Polnareff, like, oh man, you need to do this one day. Because obviously, I didn't live in that era when Stars Crusaders was coming out weekly, and, you know, obviously I didn't have access to the comments about it that people gave to Araki, but I feel like it's something that the people would ask for a lot, since I remember even like the regular days when Stars Crusaders was airing, people would just see Star Platinum as just like, oh, this is the power stand. And also, it's even when Toonami was happening too, but Stars Crusaders, you have Star Platinum, he's like, oh yeah, power stand, just strength, that's his thing. And Silver Chariot was the precise and speedy stand. Like, that's the difference between the two. And then you find out that Star Platinum just has all of the juice possible. He's the actual general all-around stand, especially since he had to hold back on Polnareff since he didn't want to hurt him at all. So it's like, no duh. Also, Egyptian gods are pretty cool to me, like concept of it. I really like the whole idea of all that. So seeing Anubis be what it is was massively interesting to me. The next stand user is going to be Mariah. Surprisingly, I actually did like Bastet. I'm not 100% on the stand, but the ability to have a completely unorthodox stand like that and then be able to both whoop Joseph and Avdol reasonably well is pretty interesting. It's nothing to scoff at, really. She's also the reason why I noticed a trend in the enemy stand users with their temper, because of how apparent hers is, and that's like a huge thing that goes back to Dio. The one thing that I will always say, though, about her and Bastet is that I really wish that we had a physical form of Bastet, the cat that like she shows off in the tarot card, not the stand. Or, well, it's not the tarot card, it's the Egyptian card. But to see Bastet emerge and tapping stuff and adding an outlet to it just would have been cool off of the animation and stuff like that. But, you know, like, obviously we're not going to see that because Stars Crusaders, obviously it's been over. So that's just something I'll always keep in my head. The next stand user is Alessi, and I don't like Alessi, but I do like Sethin. I don't have many enemy stand users that I just like don't like, but Alessi is definitely on the list for me in that case. I also feel like this is an easily shared opinion on the fight with Sethin, but it really should have involved Joseph. The hype that people would get off of that, I can't even imagine. Though Kid Jotaro and Kid Polnareff is cool enough for me. Like, I can deal with this, and obviously I can't like be like, oh yeah, we need to put in Sethin versus Joseph now, because like obviously again we can't do that. But honestly, I'm dropping like a lot of ideas for someone if someone could like recreate Araki's art style and then continue on to make their own little fan comic for a lot of this other stuff that we wish like could happen in general. That'd be pretty cool, because I know that Dragon Ball has a lot of that stuff in general, but I'm not really sure if that really has a go from Toriyama himself. So I'm not even really sure if Araki would be all like, yeah, no, sure, that's cool. It possibly could just be seen as like, yo, they'll stop that, cease and desist that, like drop completely, and then we'd be like, oh, well, that's unfortunate. So I don't know. The next stand user is Daniel Darby, and he's probably top 5 enemy stand users for me in part 3 in general, because of how large the fight between him and the Stars Crusaders was and how much I really do like it. I remember how many people were confused about the fight and were just talking about some, man, what, this is a poker game. Like, well, what am I supposed to do with this? Where's the punchy punch? Like, what the heck, man? But like the stakes of the fight was one thing to just already put it above like a lot of fights, but it was mostly about mental fortitude. Darby was one of Araki's first signs of being able to create stands like the ones we see in part 4 and part 7, and he's also completely aware of that. Like, some people will always be like, oh man, Araki, why do you draw or create weaker stands? I want to see more characters. I want to see more stands like Crazy Diamond or Star Platinum. Like, that was a thing that he definitely got in part 4 a lot, and he was just like, guys, these are all like mental stands. Like, these are all something you get, like, all the fights are based off of like outsmarting the other person. It's a way more of a mental game than just who's gonna outbuff the other person, and he's completely aware of that too, and he's like mega braining everyone when it comes to that type of stuff, and it's amazing. But Darby and Osiris, like these two, they bank off of the brain game better than anything we see, and to see that fight that isn't really a fight, it's just more of just a poker game, it was amazing. It was really great. The answer isn't as simple as to find a weakness and to cut it out with this. Poker is already an intense game to begin with, and with having stakes that high it makes this one of the most tensest fights we see in part 3. That is, I swear, it feels like it's not a word. It is a word, but I'm just like, that doesn't feel like a word. And I also like the design of Darby a lot. Like, I really do. He's really cool. The next stand user is Pet Shop, and I know without a doubt that I've mentioned that Horus is one of my favorite stands ever, and Pet Shop is actually top 3 for me for enemy stand users in part 3. Like, I say top 3 a lot, but because obviously I'm not going to do a top 10 on it. It's not really the thing that I'm going for. I know that I come here to talk to you guys about how much I love the depth of a character, personality, and things like that, but the simplicity of Pet Shop is probably why I love it so much. I see a lot of characters in fiction these days, and there's so much to go about them, and it's amazing to do analysis and all that type of stuff. But really, it gets tiring. But with how linear Pet Shop's motives are, I think that's why I love it so much. Can you imagine? Can you imagine how happy I was too that Pet Shop is actually one of the most busted fighting game characters of all time too? I thought it was funny because I just thought like, oh, okay, it's just an overestimation. It's just in the respective JoJo game. Yeah, you know, like that's how it goes. But it's actually ridiculous, and it goes down in history because this is an actual licensed game, and Pet Shop is completely out of hand. It's so cool. And if you do want to see me talk about fighting game characters, you know, I have a second channel for game analysis and all that type of stuff. You know, I'll be talking about Smash Ultimate sometimes, you know. But final notes. I'd buy Pet Shop's hat for my dog. It has nothing to do with Pet Shop directly. This is actually a note that I had written down for some reason. Don't know what time this was made. Probably 3 a.m. I don't know. The final stand user is Talents T. Darby. I give him credit for F Mega and oh, that's a baseball. Like, I wish I didn't say that. But I just like other Darby, Daniel Darby, a lot more, and basically in every aspect. Though I do love seeing Talent's inferiority complex and how he feels about his brother and all of that. That's actually some real stuff, and it would have been cool to see him in other things like, oh, I can see him in future JoJo parts or something like that and see him elaborated. But he's an enemy stand user, so he has an inevitable fate of getting the beatdown from the Stardust Crusaders. But, well, you know, there's really nothing else for him. Final thoughts. I love his introduction. It's really good, especially how he's able to just like take down everyone with, well, take out like 3 of them, and the whole sliding right through, just holding his hands up, just floating everywhere, and everyone's losing their mind about it. That's probably top 3 introductions of all the enemy stand users we have in part 3, or maybe even like part 4 too, possibly. But yeah, that's it. So thank you all for watching. I've been thinking about all the stand users here for a while, and I wanted to get everything I had to say out because honestly, it feels amazing doing so. Like just getting all of your thoughts out there into the universe and just having it out there. Doing these videos for everyone, like watching me, is great, but being real, when I do these thoughts on insert thing here videos, it's a lot more for me, if anything. If I keep thinking about a certain character in whatever I'm getting into, say Naruto or whatever the heck, I get all of that just written down, and I can make a video off of it. It's the reason why I have a vault of scripts of videos that I have yet to make, and hopefully I'll get to it all in the future. But you know, tell me who you guys want to see next. You all want to see next. I plan to finish talking about the Phantom Troop in September, because September is going to be the month where I'm actually finishing off like, oh, if this was a part 2 and I haven't done it yet, I'm doing this in September. I want it to be my like completion month. I'll finish talking about the Phantom Troop, but I also really do want to talk about the Akatsuki because Naruto was a huge thing for me growing up. But you know, I do want to see what is the JoJo recommendation from the people. If you do want me to talk about La Squadra, I will actually go on and do so. If you guys do want to see something like, oh, thoughts on all of the Morio Warriors, because I'm not saying Dwayne Gang, you can't make me, or anything in general, like you guys can just go there and throw it at me because there's a lot of stuff. Or just even if there's an anime that you think I have seen or haven't seen, just be like, oh, yo, yeah, you can probably do thoughts on the Sound 4, or thoughts on all the characters that you see in Fate Zero, like all of the servants and all that. And I'll be like, oh, cool, okay, that's something to write down. But you know, hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, peace out and Godspeed.